So my name's Sar, rhymes with car, and welcome to today's webinar on supercharging software development with low-code test automation. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our speakers. Firstly, our special guest for today is Praveen Subraho. He is a senior QA director at Care.com, which is the world's largest online service for connecting families and caregivers, where he has been for more than half of his career, which is over 11 years to be exact. Praveen has a bachelor's and master's in software engineering and has worked for organizations like RelQ and Wipro. With 20 years of experience under his belt, Praveen works to evangelize the idea of quality as everyone's responsibility and leads continuing testing efforts with a strong emphasis on automation and performance. This is going to be a really unique webinar because we're going to see how a large publicly traded company like Care.com has transformed from automated testing to low-code testing in just a short amount of time. Our second guest for today is the Sauce Labs own Raj Raho, who is the Chief Strategy Officer for Autonomic Sauce Labs. And he's responsible for Autonomic product management, building industry solutions, and customer evangelism. And with that, I'll turn it over to Raj, who will get us started.
Thank you, Sar. Appreciate it. First, before we get into it, I would love to introduce, share with you what Care.com is all about. It's a truly global company, operates in 17 countries, addresses a massive opportunity in providing care for children, elderly, and so on. This is a 340 billion market and spent annually, and they're addressing this with technology, pioneering in technology, and delivering quality service. As you can see here, they are the ones who I'm sure most of you in the audience, at least in the US, are already familiar with Care.com, because if you had to find a babysitter or a pet sitter, the first place you go to, getting tutoring services, the first place you go to is Care.com. So this is the company that we are proud to say they're our customer. And Praveen is actually the head of QA there, and he's the one who is going to walk us through some of the interesting things he's doing at Care.com. So with that, let me hand it over to Praveen. Praveen, over to you.
Thanks, Raj. Hi, everyone. So I just wanted to kind of go over a couple of things. So one is the custom development challenges at scale. So as Raj mentioned, we operate in 17 countries. So one of the first items that go about is the engineering team size. Like we have around 300 plus engineers who are working across various platforms. When I say various platforms, languages, it's like .NET, Java, Go, Ruby on Rails, Grails, native iOS, Kotlin, Android apps. So with the array of applications, what we kind of run into is some of these challenges, like how do you kind of glue them together to kind of provide a service for the customer? The customer is not worried about what language you are coming from. The next couple of challenges are like the schedules of deployment. Like, hey, what is the schedule of deployments? Some go with every week, some go every month, some go many times in a day. So we have kind of architected that deployment schedule so that we can cater to the needs of the software. And we also integrate with a lot of third-party integrations like Amplitude, iTribble, Salesforce. So it goes on. The list is endless to kind of provide a service that the customer wants. And what we have done as a QA team is we have grown as an horizontal organization. When I say horizontal organization, it's like we are spread across all these different teams, both domestic, international, and we have built an horizontal team which kind of caters to all the QA needs. And working towards it, we have built robust frameworks in place, which are moving towards being self-serve. So I just wanted to stress upon this point of being self-serve. So being a small footprint of the QA team with 20 plus engineers, what we are trying to do is build frameworks, build tests, and provide these to the existing engineers who can kind of leverage this and use this for automation and testing. So what it does is it kind of helps in that next step, like collaboration. So the engineers are not just doing development, they're also focused on the quality aspects. Like, hey, is my feature breaking some other features during the development? So they focus on that with this collaboration that kind of takes into place. Raj, you want to go to the next slide? Yeah, with that engineering challenges, I just want to kind of pause here and say, hey, there are a lot of open engineering positions in CARE that we are constantly looking for. So if you hit care.com/careers, please find out any engineering positions that you want to fill. So kind of you can reach us out there. On the QA challenges, which common, some of them might be common to all of you guys. There's ever expanding feature set. Members are working across various platforms. So when I say platforms, I want to kind of say where the Sauce Labs relationship started. So we had members or we had customers who were working across various platforms, all the way back to say they are working in an old Internet Explorer version to the latest Firefox or Safari browsers. And along with that, they also move on to kind of mobile apps, native apps, and tablets. So working with Sauce Labs, we kind of got into a relationship wherein we were able to kind of test across all these platforms, building robust frameworks. And the other aspect is the skill level on my team. So there are a lot of different varied skill levels. Like some are coming with pure functional knowledge. They know the product inside out. And they don't have a lot of automation experience or an coding experience. And we have some who are at a very high level, like they are architects in my team who can kind of re-architect the entire frameworks from scratch. Given a programming language like say Grails or Java or .NET or Ruby, they can rewrite your whole framework, automation framework from scratch. So with all that said, one of the dimensions, what we wanted to kind of introduce with Sauce Labs and Autonomic IQ was this low-code automation. So someone who is having a plethora of functional knowledge, who is light on automation, can come into my team, pick up this automation, and kind of write automation using Autonomic IQ. And that's one of the dimensions we were using. And Raj, next slide. Why does this make sense? So given that I had already mentioned about the team composition, so what I wanted to kind of take forward is how do you build this automation scripts with these functional manual QA or light automation engineers to kind of enable their collaboration with my product team, with my business team, and with my kind of development team as a self-service model. So Autonomic IQ provides this platform for us and this dimension wherein like I can have certain teams who are working on fast executions. So let's say they are building screens like say 10 a day or 20 a day. So I can kind of put those teams into using Autonomic IQ for automation. And this will enable me for quick rollout and kind of reduce my kind of time to kind of development. And a couple of key things I want to kind of stress. So if you kind of see, here's where this concept of citizen testers starts evolving. I think Raj can dive deeper into that concept of citizen tester and explain. And also in sprint automation, many times you see that team saying, hey, I'm doing a development sprint. I don't have time for QA. It has to flow into the next sprint. So this tool with low-code automation helps you to kind of bring this concept of in-sprint automation. Within the same sprint, can I do automation and kind of deliver to the team? So we have seen some of the kind of highlights, which you'll see shortly see in the demo of how easy it is to maintain this tool and kind of object identification, which is a primary hooks of concepts of automation. Next slide. Yeah, so I just want to kind of overlay the journey here. When we started, we were kind of starting with Sauce Labs purely for cross-browser testing. Hey, can I use Sauce Labs for cross-browser testing? We started with the VMs. Then we advanced ourselves to use mobile devices. As we kind of, the traffic started to kind of flow out also to mobile apps. So we started having mobile apps kind of as a part of our automation. Now we are also using Autonomic IQ to kind of move into this area of like low code, fast development automation, which helps us to kind of leverage not only what we have built using VMs and devices. With the Autonomic IQ sitting on top of it, I can execute my scripts still using the same mobile devices, still using the same VMs. So that's the advantage what we are moving towards, and you can see our journey there that we have demonstrated.
Thank you, Praveen.
Raj?
Yes, thank you, Praveen. So Praveen, one question here. I'm sure some in the audience would love to understand what kind of improvement in terms of productivity are you seeing using Autonomic? What I mean by that is, let's say you have a traditional automation, which your team does very well today. So, a typical engineer, how many scripts per day they can generate using traditional framework versus a low-code solution like Autonomic?
Yeah, let me take this example of where I'm using Autonomic IQ and where's the performance improvement. So a typical web script, which is comprising of say 15 screens, for an automation engineer who is coming with either programming language like Java, .NET, given that the existing framework exists, if he has to just put the script in place, identifying all the objects and make it run, it takes close to a day. So when I say a day includes what is his approach, how is he doing the test, running it to success, checking it in, make sure that it's part of our kind of the complete CI/CD pipeline and it goes there. So the whole cycle takes at least a day. Now, if I want to take that whole automation script and kind of reduce the time using AIQ, I can kind of do it within 4 hours. So the same script can be pushed back into getting done within 4 hours, and I can deliver the same results. So I'm just taking an example. You can see the comparison. If an engineer is able to make that 4 hours of kind of time saving, how much he can add over a period of a week, period of a month, and period of a year. So if you just multiply, surely you can see the difference. And since AIQ is also integrated with our source labs, it gives us that kind of scalability factor. I don't have to worry about saying, hey, does the script work in IE? Does the script working? I have to just run it and view the results to take it forward.
In terms of maintenance, are you seeing any benefits having something like Autonomic? Does it reduce your maintenance burden of maintaining existing automation scripts whenever there is a change?
Yeah, so given that AI concept of wherein I don't have to identify the object to the fullest XPath or whatever it is. So for example, just take the example of the screen. If I say click on introduct without the ION, so it will still work on clicking that object going through. And if someone has changed the spelling to an S or so, that's where you'll see the difference. I don't have to even maintain it. Like I don't have to even worry about it. So that's where the improvement is.
Thank you, Praveen. Appreciate that. And what the rest of the slides, what we're going to show you is why Autonomic is used by organizations like Care.com. And then actually there's a live demo of a Care.com scenario that Praveen and team use on a daily basis. So we're going to show you that. And then we can open up for a Q&A. So let me start with what some of the key points that Praveen made. When you think of why we are not able to do in-sprint automation, another way of saying testing is a bottleneck for in-sprint automation to complete the goal of in-sprint automation. Why is testing a bottleneck? Is because every aspect of this test lifecycle, creating a test case, creating a test script, creating test data, all of these things are done manually today. And whenever human factor is involved, it takes a lot of effort and time. So when you have, unless you find a way to reduce the human dependence on each one of these steps, it is going to be a bottleneck. And that's what we did when we created Autonomic. So today for automation, there are plenty of traditional automation solutions, like Praveen mentioned. The problem with them is they're designed with a tester in mind. What I mean by that is, if you are a test specialist, you can use it. But in Praveen's team, there is a hybrid team, a hybrid skill set. Some people who know how to automate using traditional methods, but some are domain experts and they have no idea about how to use Java Selenium and all these kinds of technical things. So what they tend to do is they tend to test manually and they tend to test repeatedly manually. Huge inefficiency. So what we have done is here is a simple documentation of what Praveen was saying, which is to create a test case, it can take anywhere between 5 to 8 hours, depending on the complexity of the test. And whenever there is a change to any objects or a business logic change, it takes hours to figure out, this is per script, right? To create one script, one automation script, it can take 5 to 8 hours, and to maintain it, it takes several hours. So this is an unsustainable way. In the agile DevOps world we live in, it's an unsustainable model. So when we created Autonomic, our vision was to shift this towards understanding test intent. So if you could describe test intent in simple English, this is what I would like to test, which I'm going to show you in a minute. From there, we could actually understand your intent, navigate the application automatically with no human guidance, generate the scripts, execute the scripts in the combination of OS combinations that, like Praveen said, in different OS browser combinations automatically, and then generate the report. All of this with no human intervention. All the tester or the citizen tester provided was the intent. And this is why our tagline is intent, test intent to test results in minutes. So what used to take hours is now condensed into minutes activities, or what used to take days is condensed into hours. This is for creation. For maintenance, we have an auto healing capability where we automatically understand the change and the change impact, and then automatically have a healing capability where all your XPaths and CSS selectors that can potentially be different than when it was working is automatically healed. So now the scripts doesn't have to be maintained by a human, but is maintained by Autonomic. Doing these things, we have transformed testing in at least three dimensions. The first one is anyone who is a citizen tester can use the product. Anyone who is a domain expert, especially with business applications, you can see lots and lots of them. Business analysts, administrators, or even people who are specialized knowledge in a certain area, SME. All of these are what constitutes a citizen tester, and they don't have to do the tests repeatedly manually. So that's the first thing. Second thing, what used to take hours takes minutes. That's another thing you will see. Actually, I'm going to demonstrate one scenario for you in a minute. So this is so the first thing, anyone who can express test intent can automate. Second, whatever used to take hours takes minutes to create. Third, whatever you spend hours upon hours to maintain is maintained for free by Autonomic through auto healing capabilities. So these are the key transformations. With that, let us time to jump into a demo and show you actually how the product works. If you look at this, I've already logged into our application. What we have done here is we have mapped all testing activities into three phases. There is a planning phase, an execution phase, and an analysis phase. And in the planning phase, we can create a test case. A test case is nothing but a collection of test steps. And then you have test suites, which is a grouping of test cases in a certain order. And then these are the projects. As you can see, each one is targeting a specific application to test, application under test. And that's why you can just glance over the project and you can see this one is to test care.com, this one is to test Salesforce, and so on. So like I said, all tests for Autonomic begins with the intent. And this is a simple test intent that a tester has emailed me. And I'm going to show you how I use this in a second. And the purpose of this test is to validate in care.com, I can find a tutor and I can register for requesting the tutor to come and tutor my child. That is the purpose of this scenario. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my care.com project. And here, see here, I'm adding a test case. When I add a test case, I can just go through this dialog. And then here, this, whatever that they had emailed me, I have downloaded. And here is the test case that they sent me. This is the one I just showed you. I just upload that test case. And when the moment I hit submit, my job as a tester is done. The platform will take over here, and then it will automatically generate the test and the scripts and generate the scripts and execute the scripts. So that's what you will see in a second. Let me see. I think I may not have uploaded it properly. Let's do it again. Oh, here it is. So this test is the one that we just uploaded. Now I'm going to go ahead and generate this test. And as soon as he generate, this will start processing step by step. This is exactly what I showed you. Open the website, click on tutoring, click on find a tutor. This was the intent, simple English. Anyone can write this. And then it is processing each step and then generating the evidence of execution. And it is quite fast. I'm trying to get to the first slide first. Okay, here we go. So this is what is evidence of execution. Open the website, it opened that website, and then click on tutoring. And you can see here, of all the labels, it found the right label and highlight. Everything it does is highlights in green. So you can see the evidence of execution. And click on find a tutor. It found the tutor, that specific button. Even though it's on a different pop-up, it understands automatically what it needs to do, and it does it, and so on. You can see here, click on adult is what it did, and so on. So within a few minutes, in fact, all 20 steps are already done. You can see here, all 20 steps that we just submitted is already done, and a script is waiting for us. You see, this is the one I just uploaded, and a script is waiting for us. This is a newly generated script. And this is the Java Selenium script that is used. And by the way, you can download the script into your repo, or we can automatically push it into your repo. And there is already a report waiting for me. And this is an HTML report. And you can see here, this took literally 59 seconds to process the intent and generate the script, execute the script, and generate the results. And the results are here. You can see here, open any time I click this, you will see a result. So the first column is all about the browser OS combinations. And the second one is the test steps. And the third one is the results with the pictures. This is how you can see, click on 1 to 2 months. And if you click this, you see it highlighted that. So the evidence of execution is automatically generated for you. So in a quick,
Raj, I want to pause
sure.
you. Can you pull up the report? Yeah.
Sure. Let me pull up the report. Yes.
Yeah. So this is where I was mentioning my development team and product team are wanting that collaboration and that self-service. So after the script is executed, I share them these results. And once those results are shared, I can say, hey, it was executed in Chrome. These are the screens. And you as a developer or a product owner, go through this and kind of sign off saying, hey, is this what you're intending to do? And this is where that collaboration comes into picture. Like I have even my creative teams jump onto this and say, hey, this user UX looks good on Chrome. This does not look good on Firefox. Can we fix it? So you can see that like the QA is not spending time in kind of saying, hey, this is not meeting the requirements. That collaboration is coming from the creative, come from the product, saying everyone working together and saying, hey, this is looking good across these browsers, across these platforms, and we are looking good to sign off to the production. So, and where two aspects are being shown. One is across platforms and one is the self-service. Like I don't have to explicitly go and tell, okay, this is broken. If this script fails, I share this result and the script failure, and it's up to the developer and the product owner to take a call and make the fix.
Excellent, thank you. So in other words, Praveen, what you're saying is you are the creator of test assets, but the consumption of the results is shared across a much larger audience. And also, once you create these assets, you share it with developers and other team members. So whenever they need to execute that, let's say smoke test or a regression suite that they need to run, they will automatically run. And when they get these results, they can go react to the results.
React to the results.
Yeah, and without you having to be involved in every step.
Every aspect.
Excellent, makes sense. So,
sorry, Raj, just really quickly, there was a really good question regarding the yellow flag on some of the steps.
Yes.
Particularly step number 10 and step number 18 there.
Yes.
Can you just go back there to maybe just double click a little bit further into what that actually means?
Sure. So sometimes you get a warning message. So in this case, okay, let me take a step back. Whenever you see a green check mark, that means the AI and the business, the logic in the platform figured everything out. But sometimes there could be a situation where there is ambiguity. And whenever there is some ambiguity, the platform resolves it based on some basic understanding of the application. In this case, that is signified by a yellow triangle. The red triangle means it is failed. So those are the three classifications. There is a failure versus there is a warning. So in this case, what it is saying is, when you say click on zip code, there were two elements on that page, and it is letting you know it is used the first element, because that's the message here. Two elements of zip code was found, but the first was used. Let us say you're okay with it, then you say fine. But if you don't want it, you can actually change it right there. You can go in there and say, click on second zip code. And then it will, from this time on, every time you execute this, it will try to click on the second zip code. So that is the difference. That is the indicator that is telling you, to bringing your attention to the fact that there are, in some situations when you need to be warned, when a tester needs to be warned, that's what it does. So that is the significance of that, and that's how you address it. Now, going back to, I'm going to leave this page without saving, so I'll leave it. I won't mess it up. So here, there are other ways you can create the same test intent. The test intent can also be done by just launching our AI Studio. You see here, this is the AI Test Studio. If I just click on that, it brings up the application under test. In this case, it was care.com. And then here, it gives me the AI Test Studio panel. So I can actually go in and call this as Care Test 1, just to give it a unique name. And then I can just go about navigating my scenario. Let us say that I wanted to find a housekeeping. You can find a caregiver for this. And then right now, so everything I do is captured in simple English. You can see here, open the website, click on housekeeping, click on find a caregiver, click on right now. This is what I did. And the moment you save this, this intent is converted to a script, and a script is executed, and a report will be waiting for you within minutes. So this is the way of the future. This is where domain experts can come together and provide collaboration across different groups or different areas within a team, like Praveen is doing in his organization. That in a nutshell is the demonstration. There is a lot more to show here. For example, there is a dashboard that provides you some data about all the projects, all the test suites, test cases, and so on. There is also a few other things we can get into. If there is such interest, very happy to address them on a separate meeting. But I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of how the application looks like and how application can address the organization's need for speed. That's really the bottom line. And also need for not necessarily having to wait on a test specialist. Sometimes test specialists are available, sometimes they're not. So what that means is your domain experts are testing scenarios repeatedly manually. And that's not a very fulfilling career for them, or it is not aligning with the speed at which the organization needs to move. So leaders like Praveen are stepping up and trying out in a hybrid, they're willing to live in a hybrid world where some of the team members have automation skills and some of the team members do not. So, but they're enabling everybody to automate. And this is the way of the future. And that's the presentation and the demo. At this point, we can open up for Q&A. Back to you, Saurabh.
Yeah, thanks, Raj. Thanks, Praveen. There are some really good questions in the Q&A here, which we'll get to. We do have some submitted questions from when folks registered, so we will try and get through as much as we can here. So there's a question here, Raj, maybe for you in terms of, can the user specify the output language of the generated script?
Yes. So today we have the ability to generate the system is a polyglot. It can generate different flavors of Selenium. Also, in some scenarios, we have generated different languages altogether. We would like to understand what your specific need is, and then we can discuss this further.
Awesome. And once the script is generated, can it be imported back? As in managing the test as code back to Lowcode, back and forth?
Yes. So let me, back and forth is something, let me dive into that. So yes, you can actually download any script that is generated by our platform into your repo, like a Git. All the code can be pushed into that. But because we have auto healing and we maintain the scripts, you have to be aware that if you make any changes, there is a very good chance that we're going to step over if there is an auto healing requirement that kicks in. So that is the reason why back and forth is a little dangerous, simply because either you have to maintain it or we have to maintain it. There can only be one source of truth. So today we do the maintenance burden for our customers. They like that, they prefer that, but the option exists if you want to download the scripts and use it for whatever other purpose. That option exists. But be aware that we would have maintained the scripts and there will be basically a branching at that point.
And how does Sauce Labs execute the test intent in different browsers?
So we have, first of all, Sauce Labs is the best in the world at providing various browser OS combinations. Now, we are integrated into the Sauce Labs fabric. So what that means is we can generate the scripts and then automatically select from our product, from Autonomic, the right OS browser combinations you would like, and then the execution. And then when the execution happens, it happens on those VMs, virtual machines that Sauce Lab offers. So that is the flow. You provide the intent to Autonomic. Autonomic generates the scripts. All the execution happens automatically on Sauce Labs VMs that you prefer. That's how Care.com is using. That's how our several other customers are using today.
How does maintenance work of the script? How does maintenance of the scripts work, Raj?
So let me describe what maintenance is, and Praveen can add color to this. So maintenance means, let's say you have done a release and you're testing your application. Now, everything is working fine, and then here comes the next release. That's our story of our lives, right? Every time there's a change and a constant stream of change. Whenever the change happens, Even a subtle change can initiate a cascading effect on the scripts, because the object identifiers like XPaths and CSS selectors can change, can shift out. If that happens, your existing working automation scripts will not work anymore. Somebody has to go figure out where that change is and manually address it, fix it, retest it, and then recommit those back into the repo. We have eliminated that headache. That's what we mean by maintenance. So if there is an XPath change, while the execution is happening, we have a governance layer that automatically detects this XPath is not valid for this particular object and adjusts the XPath to the new reality. And it does it every time there is a change, automatically for every element as part of the test. That's what auto healing is, without having to have a human intervene and fix every step. We automatically take care of it for you. And that's what some of our customers enjoy.
So I can add to it. So from a maintenance perspective, let's say I'm just taking a typical example. I have the flow which Raj demonstrated, which has like 4 pages, and the order of these pages changed. So what I could have done is I could have taken these 4 steps and put it into a flow, what is called as a modular. And I can kind of easily kind of make the change in that module, and that module can be consumed by all the tests wherever I am using. So the same 4 steps, if there is a change, I just make a change in the module or of what they call as flow. And once that change is made in the flow, it kind of trickles down to all the tests which use that flow. So you can use that concept. I think there was one other question. Variable. So if you can bring up that screen, Raj, I think you can touch the tool screen. Yeah.
Yes. This is a more complex scenario, and here is the concept of variables.
Yeah. Sorry. Can you go to the previous screen? Yeah. Project. Yeah. So if you see, we have this concept of variables. So you can have global variables which you can define, which can be consumed by all the scripts. So the flow, what I talked about, can be embedded within the scripts. The flow is like a series of steps or a function or a module that can be embedded within a script. And also you can use data. So if my test is more data-driven tests, there are a couple of tests in my use case wherein like the data keeps changing. So what I do is I just get this data from the outside, like an Excel sheet, and drive my test. So you can incorporate these 3, like the data, variables, and flows to scale and maintain your test. So you don't have to repeat your. It also brings in all the some of the like the features what is available in our existing like Selenium or Appium frameworks, what we have.
And Praveen, maybe just a follow-up question. What are some of the challenges that you're finding with managing both a traditional automation testing team and now this kind of low-code testing integration team that you also have to manage?
Yeah, so it's up to that individual or the team that have to decide. I think, hey, if the resources is comfortable managing the scripts in Appium or in Selenium, he or she will write the script more faster in Selenium, and he will maintain the script. But as time goes by, there will be a point in time wherein he or she has to decide, saying, hey, is it worth my time putting the simple script into Autonomic IQ and kind of taking the advantage of some of the benefits that it is providing and go from there? Yeah, you will always have some complex use cases. For example, like let's say I'm trying to do an SEO framework automation script, or a more of an iterable kind of, which is integrating with a third party. So those are more which are having complex use cases which have some API integrations. So those complex use cases will probably still stay in the old homegrown frameworks which we have developed and we have been using.
Excellent, thank you. And so Raj, is there an ability to kind of add like a weight function to the scripts?
Yes, you can add so when it comes to weight, that's such a weighty topic. so to speak. So there are different types of waits. There is implicit wait, there is explicit wait. Explicit wait is something like wait for 10 seconds or wait for 30 seconds. We don't encourage that. Waiting on events is the smartest thing to do. And we have ability to do that. So you can wait on an event. An event could be a page load, a certain appearance of an object, even on things like the spinning wheel, you can wait on. So we would prefer that our users, we train them when you get this product, we will train you on how to wait on events rather than wait on explicit waits, like wait for 30 seconds or 40 seconds. That is actually the most inefficient way to do that. So we don't recommend that. So waiting on events, and we have built-in capability to wait on events.
And can the tool make an API connection if they need to?
Yes. So what we have done is any type of API calls can be made from within this. We have a couple of approaches to call an API. We have a bash curl syntax that you can use, the technical users can use to call an API. At the same time, going back to what Praveen just said, you can wrap up the API in a flow. Flow is our way of saying a function. So you can wrap up a API in a flow, and then any business user can call that flow. Let us say, for example, you're checking on PayPal API. You can just call it with a name called pay or receive payment or make payment. So from now on, all business users or citizen testers can call it, just run it as run, call, receive payment or make payment. And then all the API calls are hidden, but we provide that provision. So we provide both layers for you. One is a more bash curl syntax that technical people can handle, and a more of a business interface where you just call a name and then API execution happens underneath.
And Praveen, how big is your QA team and where are they located?
Yeah, so my team is around 20 plus. So they are located all around. So I have a few folks in Germany. I have a few folks in the US. I have a few folks working out of India too. So.
Sorry.
So you're muted.
Yeah, thank you. So Raj, is the tool able to reuse action in other tests? Can you have one login sequence, for example, that can be used in other test cases?
Yes, most definitely. That's exactly what Praveen was saying, which is an advanced user. It seems advanced user, that's what they do, which is they define, okay, let me show you. It's so easy to do that. Let us say that I'm going to this particular test scenario, and I select these 4 steps as my login steps. I'm just making this scenario up. And then I go here and I'm defining a new flow. And the new flow, you see, those 4 steps are captured. And from here, I can call this as login care.com care login. Okay. And I just created a new flow. From now on, any user who wants to use this can just call care login. And actually, I've created a new flow called care login. You see here, care login. And this was created today. And these are you can clone this, make changes to it. And here is the details that I just showed you. These are the 4 steps. And this is how you can create reusable components. Login is a reusable component. Log off is a reusable component. Creating a new lead is a reusable component. All of these things are reusable, and we can very, very quickly create it and modify this and clone this. You have lots of capabilities of how to manage reusable objects.
So when creating and writing or importing these flows, can it be done in Gherkin?
We support Gherkin, but that is a conversation in itself, because I'll tell you why. Cucumber Gherkin has a very rigid syntax, and There are actually, it is much easier to write your intent in English than in Gherkin. So we're very happy to take this offline and have a discussion around it. But some of our customers do use Cucumber Gherkin, and there is a way to coexist between Cucumber Gherkin and Autonomic.
And where does the low code aspect come in? Like, why isn't the platform called, let's say, no code, for example?
Yes, so that's a very, very good question. The reason why we call it low code is on purpose. So low code really means something like this, what you're seeing here, which is I can go and express my intent in simple English. That is what the genesis of low code. But at the same time, you have the ability to create, with your technical folks, add additional code. You can call a function in Java or JavaScript. That ability exists, calling APIs. You cannot call APIs without having the knowledge, a little bit more technical knowledge today. So that is why you have to have some coding capability, and you have to provide users with both coding capability and people who don't want to code a no-code solution. So that is the reason why we call it a low-code right now. But one day in the future, we can certainly see a no-code scenario where absolutely no coding is required. But at this point, we have to provide flexibility, because Praveen's team is a great example where they're developing custom application in a hybrid model. He has people who are very good technical experts, who are test architects and test automation engineers who can do all kinds of coding. At the same time, you have people who don't have that those same skills. So they have domain skills. So we need this is catering to a hybrid community. But one day there may be an opportunity where you absolutely have to have no code. Then we can very quickly graduate to that step.
And Praveen, you've been leading and head of QA for various companies. What are some of the trends that you're seeing in the industry, and what was the catalyst of leading this automation team to now kind of integrating more into kind of a low code? Like, are you seeing any trends in the industry that's
so I would kind of be honest and say the first trend is everyone wants to do automation. The first question either your product owner or your developer will ask is, hey, you are writing the script manually or executing, can I put automation around it? So that's the first ask wherever you go in the industry. And with that, the ask being there, how do I provide solutions? Like, say, either it's through the robust frameworks, what can be built over the years, or I can use tools like Autonomic IQ, which readily integrates with SaaS labs. So I can have my automation engineers write the script, execute the same script, and say, hey, all the browsers, like IE, top browsers, IE, Chrome, Safari, across mobile devices, and see the user experience and kind of give the feedback to the developers and the product owners. And that's where the results of this automation kicks in. And people are happy saying, hey, is my product visible across all these platforms, all these browsers, and is the user experience good? Once you have a user experience good, you will have the flow of the using of the product. So that's where the benefits are.
So Raj, does Autonomic work with, let's say, other low-code development tools like OutSystems, or even packaged, let's just call them packaged low-code applications like Salesforce or Oracle?
Yeah, that's the emerging trend. There, like you said, Saurabh, there are lots and lots of low-code application development platforms. So why do they exist? Low-code, no-code development platforms. They exist to cater a new emerging need for programming for non-programmers, right? But, creating code by non-coders. Now, the biggest challenge is you create this beautiful application. It's a purpose-built application, custom application. Now, you have no way of testing this because the people who have created this are not coders. They don't know how to automate. They are doing the test after creating this in a very short period of time, new application. They're deploying manual testing methods. They're just manually testing it repeatedly. So pairing of Autonomic with a low-code platform, application platform, makes excellent sense. In fact, some of the low-code vendors, application vendors, are partnering with us right now to help their audience, their customers, get over the testing burden, and make it easier for them to consume the low-code application platform even more readily.
And Praveen, what's the onboarding process like when you look to bring on a tool like Autonomic?
Yeah, so as given in any industry, like we pick a project and we pick up stream of work, and we have gone about kind of picking this product, Autonomic IQ, to kind of have the automation. And earlier they did not have any automation in that area, which is kind of an emerging kind of space. And we put that team to kind of try to do automation along with the agile team. So we have an agile team which works and kind of gets this automation done, in sprint automation for them. Once we got a few iterations of that, and then we expose this tool to all the other members, giving them an opportunity to kind of say, hey, you have an existing old frameworks wherein you can write your automations code. You also have the new Autonomic tool which you can write. Which would you prefer, given the low maintenance and faster iteration time? So they make the choice and kind of move slowly towards Autonomic IQ.
So Raj, does it use any like syntax, or is there like a specific kind of keywords that has to be used when you're creating the scripts for it to be recognized, or the test case for it to be recognized?
The basic requirement is simple English. I'll give you a concrete example. Let's say that instead of saying open website, where I'm pointing right here, you can say anything that is synonym to open website, which is go to website, click on website. Any one of those things we honor, we understand, and we deal with. There's no predefined keywords. Are we make you to remember are we ask you to remember these specific keywords? There is no such thing. We have a simple English interface where anyone can use common sense English and create it. We have created a domain specific NLP engine testing, which understands the English, not like a Shakespearean English, but English that is very targeted for testing domain. And that's why this is possible.
And so can steps like verify a certain value of a field be added to a test case?
Yes, and let me actually show you quickly in the remaining few minutes. So this is the way to verify. Here, I'm taking you to another scenario for care.com. And if you look at this, we just wanted to verify apply to jobs is on the page. And if it does not show up within 30 seconds, this is an event-based thing, and then it can time out and flag an error. So because they said that it was always going to show up within 30 seconds. So here it found apply to jobs and it highlights it. So verify apply to jobs on page is accomplished by just naming it just like that. Verify apply to jobs. That's all you have to say. And then we will figure wherever it is, we will figure it out and show you and demonstrate that. So verifications are very simple. Assertions are simple. There are different types of assertions you can do, and so on.
And Praveen, what are some of the benefits of achieving in-sprint automation, which you talked about a little bit during your presentation?
Yeah, so one of the biggest kind of technology kind of pivots what we are going through is now as the industry, we are moving towards micro frontends. I think people would have heard this term, micro frontends. So instead of having monolith applications, we are moving towards micro frontends, which are lightweight, which can kind of easily be deployed, which can kind of iterate for like 5 times a day. You can do a deployment, and changes can be kind of churning around, both for the business and the product. And for keeping up the pace of testing those features, having the traditional automation sometimes falls back and does not scale because either we are well behind, what I call as behind the bus. We are always behind the bus. So to kind of make that change using Autonomic IQ for some of those areas, it helps us to do that in sprint automation. Like, so developer develops the change and says, hey, demonstrates, hey, this is the change. And my Autonomic IQ automation engineer can kind of say, hey, this is what the script looks like. I'm running it in a couple of times and it looks good in dev stage. And once it's kind of ready to ship, we ship it out. So that's where you accomplish the in sprint automation.
Awesome. So we only have a few more minutes before the wrap up here. Maybe Raj, can you let people know, is this a download, a trial version? How do people demo, or how do people start to experiment or use the tool before actually becoming a customer?
That's a very good question. Anybody can get access to this software. They just have to reach out to us, and we will schedule or we will organize a sandbox for them, and we will also orient them, provide some orientation so they can play with it, and we can leave it and give them some real examples and also show them how it can be done on their applications. All of this can be done at no cost. Just have to reach out to us and then to Sauce Labs, and then we can set it up.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, I know there's just a couple more questions, and we're just pushing up on time here. What we will do is we will provide the kind of written answers to everybody before a couple days after the event, and also just kind of touch on the ones that we didn't have an opportunity to get to. We really appreciate everybody's engagement and being here present for this session. And that's all the time that we have today for the webinar. Thanks again, Raj, Praveen, very awesome insights. And thank you all for carving the time out of your day for this session. When you exit, you'll see a survey on the presentation. We'd appreciate any feedback that you can provide, just so that we can continually to improve these sessions. You will also receive a follow-up email, as I kind of mentioned, with a link to this webinar. Feel free to share it with your coworkers, your friends, and other resources to kind of help them along their low-code test automation journey. On behalf of Sauce Labs and our presenters, thank you for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day, and keep things saucy. Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you. Bye.